Dead Headspace. I'm your host, Patrick R. McDonough, with my co-host, Brennan LaFaro. Say hi, Brennan.
Hello.
And today we're joined by writer, reviewer, and all-around multi-talented artist, Cassie Daley. Say hi, Cassie.
Hi, I'm blushing now, so...
Cassie, have you heard of Mary Sangiovanni's Buzz Book Expo 2020?
No, what is it?
Well, let me tell you, readers, book reviewers, podcasters, librarians, booksellers, and lovers of great, scary books. BuzzBook Expo 2020 is just around the corner. BuzzBook Expo is a live streaming event in which publishers will be announcing all the great new horror fiction releases they have to offer through the coming year. There will be interviews, Q&As, presentations, book cover reveals, and more from all your favorite horror publishers. All for free. Did you hear that price, guys? Free. Spend 2 days immersed in exciting book talk from publishers and authors alike. The event will take place on August 22nd and 23rd. All information, including links to the expo, can be found at Mary Sangi, that is marysangI.wordpress.com/buzz-book-expo-2020. We hope to see you there. Cassie, thanks for joining us. We've wanted to talk to you for a while now, so this is pretty awesome, especially with some news that came out today.
Thank you for having me.
You want to talk about that first? We usually have a baseline question, but I'm very excited to hear just whatever you have to say about William Morrow. You are what is it? I know a reviewer, but what do they call it?
So like one of their influencers, they put out an influencer call a while back, and I applied for it, and I didn't think that I would get considered for it at all. So I kind of forgot about it just a little bit. And then I got an email saying, hey, congratulations, choose your books for August. And yeah, I'm pretty excited about it. So they are going to send you books each month, I guess. And they're in a genre that you can pick. So mine is like, I guess, thriller, horror type. Not that I'm not open to the rest, but I don't really read a lot of like romance or anything like that. It's not my super jam, so I'm gonna go for the thriller stuff. I saw one on there that was also like a true crime book, so it seems like it's going to be a little bit all over the place, but I'm excited because obviously I'll be getting some books a little bit early, and then I get to talk about them and promote them a little bit, which is cool.
That's really exciting. William Morrow's a big deal. Like they've been around since the the late 20s, and they're huge. Namely Paul Tremblay. So. Was it them that just signed a 3-book deal with him? I can't remember if that's the publisher. I feel like it was.
I don't know. I'm sorry.
Sorry, I'm not trying to.
That is the publisher.
I'm not trying to. I wasn't prepared for.
Yeah, no, I'm not trying to test anyone. I'm just kind of blanking myself. I feel like it was them because he's worked with them for a few books anyways. Well, moving on. I'm excited for you. I know Brennan is too. Congratulations.
Thank
We
you.
were really pumped to see your name there. Let's start with the baseline question. Even though we already asked the question. What got you into horror?
I talked about it before, but I guess Christopher Pike when I was really little. Because I kind of read through all of the books that were in our media center at the library in my elementary school. And I became friends with our media center lady. Her name was Mrs. Mercer, and she was super nice to me. Not a lot of people were very encouraging of me reading. So to have somebody who was there like, here's this book, we got some new stuff in, it was really cool. We didn't have a lot of horror in the school library, however, so her daughter was she was like 10 years older than me, I think, at the time, and she was leaving for college, so she left all her books behind, and her mom brought this giant trash bag filled with Christopher Pike books. And there was some other stuff too, like Richie Tankersley Cusick and Caroline Cooney, I think. And so, just like those teen thriller type things. And some of them were about, murderers and things like that. And I thought they were cool. So I just kept reading more stuff like that.
The good stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, Brennan, you want to jump in before we go elsewhere, sir?
Yeah, I'm wondering about Christopher Pike, because I know the name. I can even picture the font on the book covers, but he's an author that I never got into when I was younger. So what kind of, if you were recommending his books to somebody, how would you describe them?
Okay. Well, okay. So his books are a little bit all over the place. They usually feature teenagers, probably like 17 or so in age, although he also wrote this whole series called Spooksville, which was for like 12, 13-year-old, kind of the Goosebumps age. And he's also published some books for adults as well. But they usually involve teenagers, early 20s too sometimes. And he kind of gets really like metaphysical a little bit. There's a lot of like spirituality in it, and like some religious stuff too, that when I was like 10 years old and discovering these books, I had no idea about. So there was a lot of stuff that I was learning and opening up myself up to that I didn't expect and didn't know existed, which is really cool. Some of his books too are not just horror, so some of them are kind of like sci-fi. One of my favorite ones is actually about a girl who goes on this ship, and she's going on like this space mission, and she knows that everybody on Earth is going to be gone by the time she comes back because of the way time moves differently. And so it's kind of like this, it's like emotional on one hand because she's leaving everything behind, but then there's also this story that's going alongside it that features aliens and stuff. So it's a little chaotic, but it's really good. I think if you're going into them though and you've never read them before, you would definitely have to have an open mind, because if you're just expecting, slasher type things or anything like that, it wouldn't really be what you're going to get.
I think it's good though. Sorry, Pat.
It's fine.
I think it's good because it's, you mentioned that it touches on themes like religion and stuff. And I'm a big fan of, YA middle grade stuff in general, things geared towards younger people that aren't going to pull any punches like that don't talk down to you, that don't say, oh, this is a taboo subject, so, you have to wait until you're 18 to read about it. Do you kind of feel like, that's how those books approached it?
Yeah, I definitely think so, because he makes it like a part of the teenager's life who he's writing about. So there's stuff like reincarnation that gets touched on. There's stuff like even just non-religious stuff, but like doing like, what is it called where you can like travel in your mind, but like you can astral projection, like stuff like that. And there's a lot of influences from like Hinduism and stuff in the books too. And then there's one book called The Immortal, and it's actually like all about like Greek mythology and like the islands of Greece and stuff, which is really cool because I have been like obsessed with Greece for some weird reason since I was like 12. And now that I'm talking about it, it's probably because of that book. So yeah, it's pretty cool.
That's pretty neat. So I was just looking up some facts about Christopher Pike because he's new to me. And I just saw that it's a pseudonym. His real name's Kevin Christopher McFadden.
Yeah,
McFadden.
And it's from Star Trek, his pseudonym.
Interesting.
Yeah.
And then the other thing that I thought was really neat was it says the first person to publish Pike's book was also behind the Babysitters Club.
Oh, hey. I did read those, and those were in the library at my school.
Interesting. All right, so I don't remember where it was. So, Brennan, do you want to take over?
What I want to ask in a comprehensible manner is, how your blog and your writing gets started, and I want to kind of link that to, your early horror experiences.
Oh, okay, deal. Okay, yes, I've got this. So I have been blogging actually for over 10 years, and when I started doing it, it was just food actually. So I was baking, and it was called Coffee and Chopsticks because I really like sushi and I really like coffee. I didn't cook sushi or coffee or anything like that on the blog. It was pretty much just baking, but I really liked the idea of it. So I was doing that for a while, and I didn't really – I liked baking and I liked sharing it, but there wasn't really a community aspect of it, at least not one that I could get into it, because the people that I met through blogging, they were a little bit not very welcoming through the baking stuff. So it kind of deterred me a little bit from that. But I liked blogging in general, and I liked being able to write stuff and share it. Like you mentioned, when I was younger, I liked reading obviously a lot. And I had the idea to write, but it wasn't super encouraged. I wasn't really encouraged a lot with a lot of things as a child. So it kind of pushed me off of doing a lot of things, or feeling like I didn't think that I could, or that if I tried, it would be really terrible and it would just, like, everybody would laugh at me and it would be awful. So when I started my blog, I had those fears. And when that, like I said, the baking thing didn't really super go very well, I actually almost stopped. And then a few of my friends started posting about books on Facebook, and I noticed that they were blogging about books, and they were like sharing book reviews and things like that. And they were doing it for a lot of books that were like romance, fantasy, things like that, and books that were coming out recently. And I thought it was really cool, but those weren't the type of books that I read. So I wanted to kind of start talking about books that were spookier, or I don't know. I really like books that have sad endings, or like endings where you read it and you're like, why did you do this? this hurts me. So I wanted to talk about those kinds of things. And it actually took me, I think I was blogging for like 5 years about books and stuff before I actually joined the bookish community, because I couldn't find it. Like, I didn't know, I didn't use Twitter a lot then. I saw pretty pictures of things on Instagram and I was like, whoa, there's a whole like place where people are talking about only books. And then I found like the little tiny part of Bookstagram that's completely dedicated to horror. And it was like, I don't know, like pearly gates. And I was just like, oh, this is wonderful. Like, this is amazing. And so I joined it, and that was like 3 years ago. Actually, I just had my 3-year Bookstagram anniversary, like last week. And it's bled into everything else now, because I actually feel comfortable being able to, I don't know, express my love of horror, because I don't have a ton of friends that are super into it. Like, they don't watch a lot of scary movies. They don't read scary books. They don't, do things like that. So I kind of felt like the odd one out, being really obsessed with these like really morbid things. So finding the community has been great. And that's really encouraged me to just do more of it. Like, I would never have even considered writing again if people hadn't encouraged me to do it. With my nonfiction articles, like some of the ones that have appeared in other places, like even on like the Deadhead site, like people asked me to do them, and like we're like, hey, what about this topic, or what about this? Do you want to submit something for this? And I don't know, that's like all the push that I've needed. Just having a little bit of support has like changed everything. So it's been really cool. I don't know if that answers the question or if it got really rambly.
Nope, that's absolutely perfect. You kind of has made that pit stop in the baking community, but as far as translating a love to reading into a way to kind of express yourself through writing, that's the exact path you went down. And it's so disappointing to hear that you weren't encouraged as far as this or that or the other thing. But at the same time, like, anybody who follows you, like, you're a jack of all trades now. It's almost seems like you kind of have your hand in a little bit of everything, and it's all wonderful. I love seeing it go by on my feed. So there's not really a question there, but I think it's kind of cool that you built yourself up in that way and gained that self-confidence to go in that direction.
I don't know if I would say I have self-confidence yet, but definitely
gained that semblance of self-confidence.
I'm on my way.
Just to add to that, I don't remember when I first saw your Twitter, but I was like, ooh, I'm attracted to all these colors. And I mean, like, whether you're happy all the time or not, you come off like a super confident, happy person. And that makes me happy. And I like seeing happy people. And it's not to say that I'm like, oh, I don't want to talk to you if you're not happy or whatever. But it's just, it's nice to see that, because there can be so much bad on the internets now. And anyways, I like what you do. And too, to piggyback off of Brennan, and like I was saying before we started recording, your website, it's great. Let's Get Galactic. There's just everything you need basically for art. And let's talk about that for a little bit. Where'd you come up with that name, Let's Get Galactic?
So I grew up watching Star Trek with my dad. So I really like sci-fi and just anything spacey. And I like the word galactic. So that's probably not the most, exciting answer for you, but I kind of combined those things and named my blog after it. I want to kind of try to switch it and say it's like, oh, books that are out of this world or something like that. But we're working on it.
I don't really know how to describe this one book. It's sci-fi. I just don't know what kind of sci-fi. Well, genre, it's under like biopunk and science fiction. Have you heard of Paolo Bacigalupi?
No, I don't. Actually, I think, did they write something like The Water Knife or?
Yeah, he wrote a book called The Water Knife in 2015. The book, I've read one book by him, and it caught, like, I love doing this. I love walking. Well, I haven't in a while, but I have this one bookstore. I think it's only a chain in New Jersey, but they sell brand new books, hardbacks, paperbacks, comics, graphic novels for like $2 to $3, and it's not like the pages are torn out and shit's written in it. It's like, for up to Stephen King to. I think I've seen one or two people through Twitter that I know. I can't remember who, but this one time, like 4 years ago, I saw this one book. It caught my eye. It was by Paulo. It's this crazy looking cover of like a bazaar, like a market, with this elephant being kind of guided by these four people in these red uniforms, and there's tall buildings in the background, and there's zeppelins in the air, and I'm just like, what is this? It's called The Wind-Up Girl, and there's this like sticker on the cover too that says Hugo Nebula Award winner, and I'm like, okay, well, I know what those are. This cover looks amazing. I've never heard of this guy. It's a 300-page book, I believe, but I'm like, fuck it, and I read it, and I'm like, this thing should be a movie. I mean, I know people say about all good books, but I don't really know why I'm going on a tangent about this book, but it's just, I just checked the word count. It's 361 pages. I know that's a hefty load for some, especially an author you don't know, but let's segue into this. Have you, in bookstores, are you one to be attracted to a cover so much so where you find yourself buying it? Has that ever happened to you, or do you tend to kind of stick to authors that you're familiar with?
So I just Googled that book that you're talking about, and I've seen that book, and I wanted that book, but I have never heard anybody talk about it. So you saying that actually really helps me, because I'm probably going to get it eventually now.
I could dive into it a little bit without spoiling it if you want.
Yeah, tell me.
All right, so I don't remember the exact year, but basically what it comes down, it's set in Asia. He spent some time there. Paulo's an American, but it takes the point of view of a few different people. One of them's what they call wind-up girls, and basically sections of the world, it's gotten so bad where I forget the countries, but let's say you're Chinese, you're not allowed in Thailand. Or if you're allowed in Thailand, you're, just a worker, and basically it's like a class system involved. They trade something with like calories. It's just like it's one of those futuristic movies I could have seen being filmed in the 90s, along with a movie like Waterworld, where it's just like, this is so weird. For me, I love Waterworld. I know people shit on it. I love it, but
no, I love it too. I'm right there with you, yeah.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of weird sci-fi, and I consider that weird and really neat. And it's just one of those sci-fis where you're like, it's very strange, but I'm gonna keep reading, and the point of view characters all end up kind of intertwining at one point. And there's this one, what they call a wind-up girl. She's not human. She's not a robot. There's like wind-up animals too, like they mentioned wind-up butterflies. They don't go into great detail about like spirits, but that is mentioned at one point. And something else is that there's talks of the shipment for, I believe it's pumps, because the city's surrounded by these huge. It's not a dam. I forget what it's called. A levee. And basically, if they don't get those pumps, the levee's gonna break. Led Zeppelin reference, and if it breaks, bad stuff happen. But the wind-up girl is basically treated not even like a second-class citizen. She's just an object of sex. Gets into slightly graphic details for a scene or two, but it's not like you don't feel icky after it, but it's a lot. I know I'm not really articulating it all that well, but I read it once. It was 5 years ago. There's a lot to take in. It's very good. Brennan, I've always said like A Cosmology of Monsters is like one of the highest books I'd recommend. This is for sci-fi. That's one of the highest books I'd recommend that I don't hear anyone talking about.
That's a pretty big marker. Now, I'm not going to say I tuned out. I did not tune out, but you lost me a little bit like 5 minutes ago with biopunk. I have no idea what that is.
Yeah, so I Googled that because I didn't know how to describe what genre
So are they just
was.
like genetically modified people?
Yeah, the wind-up girl is, I'll look up what biopunk is. I'm not even going to pretend I know what it is. I mean, I think Cassie just hit the nail on the head.
I figure it'd be like steampunk, but like instead of like using the steam mechanics and stuff, maybe they use like biological
Biotechnology. Okay,
yeah,
that makes
look
sense.
at that. Okay.
Biotechnology, yeah. Yeah, and Cassie, you're a big fan of BioShock too.
I love BioShock.
I didn't mean the second one. I meant as well as.
No. Yeah.
For me, that's like one of the greatest. I consider a horror sci-fi. Is it? Would you call it? It's just such a good game, Brennan. I don't know.
Points in it.
Yeah, for sure. You got your. So, Brennan, have you played that?
You know what? I'm really quickly going to give you my rundown on video games. I'm not, the last system I bought myself was a PlayStation 2 in like 2003. You know that I teach piano lessons, and I've got this one student that comes to mind, and the best way to get him to, do his best is I tell him he's going to play a line of music, and then we can talk about a video game he likes for like 2 minutes. And it's, I smile, I nod, but I tell him straight out, I say, I have no idea what you're saying here. I don't know what a Minecraft Dungeons is. I know what Minecraft is there. I know what Minecraft is, but even my kids don't know what the dungeons are. So I don't know. I'm hopeless.
If you look up BioShock Rapture, there's a book set in like the same type of world-ish thing, so you don't have to really. I mean, it doesn't follow the exact story of the game completely, but you could read it, and then you would know what people are talking about when they say that BioShock is super cool.
I won't break it down. I'll break it down to bullet points. Basically, it takes place in the 50s or 60s.
Yeah, it's like an old-timey setup.
Yeah, and there's this guy that makes a world in the ocean because he's basically like, fuck the government, I want to make my own government. Things go wrong, people go crazy. They modify, basically have superpowers at one point. And there's these things called Big Daddies where they're just these massive, I don't know if they're even human at this point, but they're people in like a scuba diver outfit, only they got like drills on their arm, and basically if you get hit by it, you're going to die painfully. And there's these little girls called Little Sisters. They're creepy. If it was a book, well, she just said there's a book, but for the video, if the video game was a book translated scene for scene, it would be like one of the coolest books ever. And if it was a movie, I'd watch it. So
I think they should make a movie of it. Sorry.
I would love it. Don't apologize. If you want to talk more about this, we can. If not,
no, I'm curious. Do you guys know when?
Could just spend a whole hour talking about BioShock.
When did the first BioShock game come out?
Let's see. It's in the aughts. BioShock came out in 2007. I almost said 2007.
See, now that's what I thought, because I worked at a video rental store in right around that time, and I remember seeing it, and I think one of the biggest things that I won't say turned me off video games, but just confused the hell out of me is right around that time. I feel like you'd see trailers for games, and I remember watching them and just thinking, I don't know how to play that. It looks like I just have to watch it. Like if you see gameplay footage for a game like BioShock, it seriously just looks like an animated movie to me, and I guess that scared and confused me, and I never recovered 13 years later.
Well, to be fair, in your defense, when they show the trailers, the stuff that's usually in the trailers isn't like the actual gameplay. It's usually like a movie or something to kind of show you what the story and the game is going to be like, with like little bits of the gameplay in it. So it doesn't really look cohesive as like, here's how you're going to get in with your controller and get to have some action, like kill some things. It doesn't really make it look like that when you're watching the trailers.
Well, that's just flagrant false advertising.
I grew up like playing a lot of video games too, because I have 2 younger brothers, and my dad was really like nerdy, I guess is what it's called because he's the reason that I watched a lot of Star Trek. That I like basically all the sci-fi stuff that I like. And comic books and things like that. We would like watch Spider-Man and things like that when I was little. So playing video games, especially scary ones, like that's like I could just talk about that for a really, really long time.
What's the sorry, I muted myself. What is the scariest game that comes to mind that you've played?
The scariest? Okay, so Silent Hill 2, when I played that game for the first time, I legitimately turned it off like 10 minutes in, and I was in a room with the lights on with my mom and both of my younger brothers with me. And there's this part where, obviously the game came out like ages ago, so I'm not going to ruin about spoiling it for you guys, but there's a part really early on where you walk into this dark little like tunnel, and there's just like a creature in there, and you can hear it, and you don't know what it is, and you get this radio, and the radio starts making this awful scratchy staticky noise. So all of your senses are kind of being assaulted at once, and so you're walking into this hallway, and there's this like really scary thing that moves in a really jerky way, and things in horror that move in that particular jerky way freak me out so bad. Like in movies, like they usually have little girls that are dripping wet and they do this weird like jerky like thing, and that gets me every time. So when I saw that, I put the controller down, I paused it, I turned the system off, and I was like, I'm going to play this again later. I can't do this right now.
Have you seen A House on Haunted Hill? It's not the old Vincent Price one. It's a 1999 remake with Jeffrey Rush, the guy that plays Barbosa.
I don't know. Let me look it up.
Well, I bring it up because it's a ghost movie, and at one point, someone's watching. The house has cameras all over, but only like one character knows that, and that character's looking at the cameras, and he sees one of the main guys, the main antagonist, and he's a ghost, and he's moving in that jerky way, and I'm like, that's killer.
It's so creepy.
You're going to hate me for this, man, because I know that's one of your favorite movies. But I always get that one confused with, I think it's The Haunting, which I'm pretty sure that came out like the same year. And there's even a scene from The Haunting that I'm thinking of where they're looking at a camera and they see like all these, the camera's pointed at an empty room, but it's displaying like a surgery or something, but all the doctors and stuff are moving and all that. In that. Oh, that's the same movie?
Yeah.
Is that the movie where the girl walking up the staircase? Her name was like Nell or something, or Elle or something? Am I thinking of a different movie?
I don't know if that's...
And there's like a greenhouse with like roses or something in it?
No, that's not... Well, what Brendan's talking about, the doctors turn around and then the girl screams and they find her in bits and pieces. That's it, Brendan.
Did that one have did your movie have Omar Epps in it?
Yep.
Oh, okay. So maybe I have no idea what The Haunting is about then.
Maybe The Haunting is the one I'm thinking of.
Either way, they both came out in like 99 and they were, similar enough that nobody can tell them apart 21 years later. So
well, that's debatable.
Okay, nobody but Patrick can tell them apart 21 years later.
The Haunting is the one I was thinking of because that has Catherine Zeta-Jones in it.
I don't even know what The Haunted is, to be honest.
Now, does that one also have Owen Wilson in it?
Yes, it does, and Liam Neeson.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so I didn't completely imagine a movie. That's good news.
Always good to find out.
So,
absolutely.
Along the jerky ghost lines, I used to record YouTube videos for fun, and one of my closest friends, he has 3 little nieces, and when they were little girls, 4 to like 8 or whatever, around there, they were all under 10. They knew we did videos, they're like, we want to do one, and he had this creepy basement. So we recorded a horror comedy, and I'll show you when we're done recording if you want, but they were creepy as hell. And I edited it so it looked like that, where it was just jerking motion, where it kind of lagged, and I was there. I was the one that edited it, and I'm like, that still creeps me out. I love it. I
lost my shit. It gets me every time.
It's such an effective horror tool. It really is. Before we completely leave the realm of video games, I want to throw a book out there, and I'm afraid that if I try and save it for the end when we usually talk about, what we're reading, I'm going to forget. But I'm in the middle of this book right now called Negative Space. It's put out by Dark Peninsula Press, which I think this is their first anthology, and it's survival horror. It's basically the guy who edited it is a huge Silent Hill, Resident Evil fan, and he wanted to compile a big list of stories that were in that same vein. And, despite the fact that I'm not, a huge video game person, I'm familiar enough with those to recognize it. And it's really cool. There's one I finished up just the other day. I had to look it up, but it's called The Collectors by Michelle Tang. And it really nails down that kind of what I think of anyway when I think of a horror game, where you can only see from the character's perspective, and that's what makes it so scary. Like, it's not like a movie where something is waiting around the corner. You have to go down the hall and around the corner, and you have no idea whether there's going to be, this giant centipede monster, or whether there's going to be absolutely nothing except more darkness. And I really felt like that story just nailed that whole aesthetic. But it's a really cool anthology overall. I'm only 4 or 5 stories in, but so far I'd recommend it if that style of video game is up your alley.
Yeah, I actually, they reached out to me 2 weeks ago, and I got that one just a couple days ago, so I haven't actually started reading it because I just recently got it. I don't even know if I've done a book mail post for it, but yeah, I'm really excited because when I saw survival horror, I was like, yes, give me that book, please, let me read it.
Oh, brilliant. I hope you enjoy it. Then I didn't just spout all that for nothing.
No. I'm probably going to start and look for the story, because with short story collections, if somebody's recommended a specific story, especially if I haven't started it yet, I'll usually start with that one and then just kind of skip around a little bit. Yep. So I'm going to start with that one that you said.
Nice. Yeah, and even, I think that's the second story in there, and even the first one is really cool. And I don't know if to me anyways, it didn't fit the video game aesthetic as much, but it was a really interesting and very different story. I don't think I've ever, mild spoilers, but you find this out on page 1, but I don't think I've ever read a story where the main antagonist was a cuttlefish before.
I don't think I have either, so really looking forward to that.
Well, I'm afraid I have nothing else to add to the video game discussion, guys. I'm useless on that. You wanna yell segue and go to something completely unrelated?
Oh, I just realized my fucking mic was muted again. God damn it, Pat.
I thought you were just stuck on Google all night.
I know. I was like, his mouth is moving, but I don't know.
Stop looking things up and talk to our guest. Damn it.
No, I was trying to say I want to tag one more thing along the video game realm before we move on, and that is Cassie mentioned, and if you don't want to talk about this, I get it, but you mentioned that you are going to be, I assume, use Twitch or something like that for video game streaming.
Yeah, so I want to. So I don't have a specific date or anything, but I want to try doing it next year. This year I kind of wanted to, but everything is just. This year's been a lot, so I think I'm gonna go for that next year. But I didn't know. So when I play video games, I yell a lot, not in a bad way, I guess, but I also say bad words a lot. And I didn't know that you could do that on Twitch. I thought you were not allowed, and I was like, "There's no way that I could stream myself playing video games without accidentally getting kicked off." And then I found a bunch of channels that actually let you do it. They don't care. They just do it, and nobody seems to mind. So if they can do it, I can do it, and I'm gonna try. I had one of my friends. She streams Sims and stuff, so she gave me a bunch of links and a bunch of information about different things that I could probably use and look into. I don't know anything about it, so if anybody ends up listening to this and this part is not cut out, please tell me all the things about streaming, because I have no idea how to do it, but I would like to start it. I think it would be cool to do scary games, especially because I have a lot of trouble playing them by myself. So if I feel like there's other people with me, maybe that'll make it a little bit easier and less scary of an experience, or people will just have to deal with me screaming like a B-movie scream queen, and that'll be my thing. We'll see.
I'd watch that. That'd be fun. Have you guys seen that movie Stay Alive with Frankie Muniz that came out in 2006?
Yes, that movie's really bad, but I love it.
I love that movie. It's shit. It's it's not a good movie in the sense where it does not stand up to it's aged poorly.
Yeah.
It's the opposite of good wine. I don't know what that would be. It's spoiled milk, but you're it tastes so good, but my tummy hurts.
Yeah, I think there's a good.
Not a good analogy.
That's true. Brennan, you got a good analogy, or Cassie? You got one that makes sense?
I don't. I just got advice. Don't drink spoiled milk.
I think it's good too. Like sometimes having movies that are bad but still good. Like I love a lot of really bad movies that most people are like, really? That's a movie you like to watch willingly? And yeah, it is, because it's terrible and it's great. So
it's just so much fun. It just like it captured the time of, you know, the early aughts when it was like video games and they're scary, and I don't know, it's just like from the 90s how parents made a whole big deal about they're going to rot your brain out, and that's why they created the rating system in the early 90s, because the games like, I'm pretty sure it was Mortal Kombat was the reason why, but I think that still carries over to today, and it just kind of captured the moment of like, hey, this is what could go wrong. And it made me, when you were talking about I don't like playing scary games by myself, it made me think of that, because I'm like, well, they played together, and what happened, Cassie?
That's totally fair. Yeah, they didn't have a good time. So I guess my safety net's gone.
And now Frankie Muniz doesn't have a good career. I don't know what he's been in recently.
I mean, to be fair though, Malcolm in the Middle was such a good thing.
I loved it. Yeah, that
it was, but Bryan Cranston kind of set the bar high for second acts after that.
Fair. Yes, that's totally a good point.
Yeah, I don't know if you guys were into Breaking Bad, but there's this, I don't know which show. It might have been Saturday Night Live or Jimmy Fallon or one of those shows. When Breaking Bad was towards the end of its run, Bryan Cranston does a skit where he wakes up next to Lois and he's just like, I had this terrible dream that I sold drugs, and he's being a whiny little bitch like Hal is, and the hat that Heisenberg has is right next to his it's on his nightstand. I'm like, that's brilliant.
I haven't I watched almost all that show, and then I think I got to like the very last season, and there are like some parts where there's so much tension and so much buildup that my heart was beating so fast that I had to stop watching it. So I've never seen the end of that show.
We're talking about Breaking Bad or Malcolm in the Middle?
No, Breaking Bad. I can understand why you need clarification there, though, Pat. So,
in all seriousness, the end of Breaking Bad, yeah, it got intense, but it ended, in my opinion, it's one of those shows where you're satisfied. I love The Sopranos, but I didn't like the ending. I mean, I know people that really like it. I thought about it for a few years. I don't like it.
No, that's really fair. I mean, I thought Breaking Bad there just aren't a lot of shows that, you know, most everybody is satisfied with the finale, and that's Breaking Bad's definitely one of them. And in fact, the only other one I can think of off the top of my head is 6 Feet Under. I don't know if you guys ever watched that.
I thought you were going to say Lost.
I thought you were going to say Game of Thrones.
No, I was not going to say either one of those.
Like, as a writer, we're all writers here. Can we all agree that, like, they probably just said, fuck it, let's just get paid and end this now? Because what the fuck? I'm still, like, so disappointed. Me and my wife got into it during the end of season 6. The end of season 7 or 6. I don't remember. It doesn't matter. We watched it all before season 8 came on. And to watch that live, and I don't know. I don't know if I sound like a whiny bitch. There's other things to complain about, but the last thing I want to say about Bryan Cranston is the first time I remember seeing him I was a huge fan of Seinfeld when it came out. I remember my family and I used to watch it when it came out every week, and he played a dentist that was pretty goddamn funny. I don't know if either of you watched that show, but it was a different role than he was in Malcolm in the Middle, and then he's just everywhere now.
I've seen a couple episodes of Seinfeld, but I don't specifically remember that.
That's a show about nothing. It's, not missing it. So let's talk about Fright Girl Summer. How'd that whole thing start? Because we talked with Sonora and we talked with V a few months ago. They had nothing but great things to say about you, but I don't really remember if we talked about how you were brought in definitely not from your side. I don't know.
So I heard that they were doing it, and I just I asked them, it's like, can I submit something? They told me that I could submit some sort of art stuff too. And so I think that's originally what I was going to do, but I had been like kind of quietly working on that short story for like a week or two before that. And I didn't know what to do with it. I wasn't sure if I wanted to like submit it anywhere or do anything with it publicly. And I was really scared in general about it because I was really worried that people wouldn't like it because it obviously you guys read it, but I'm not going to say like a huge spoiler or anything, but it doesn't have like a super happy ending. And a lot of the stories that I have thought of and think of do not have happy endings. And so I was really worried that people would hate that about it. So I shared it on my Patreon, and the people there were really, really nice, and they were very, very supportive. And then I put it through a couple, like I revised it a little bit more. And then David, see, this is one of the names that I might get wrong. Sodergren, he wrote, he does Paperbacks and Pugs. He has a cute little pug, Boris. He's going to be one of the authors in my coloring book. And I asked him, I was talking to him about like writing stuff, and he was like, oh, well, send it to me, and, I'll read the beginning and just tell you what I think. And he actually ended up reading the whole thing, and then he did a full edit of it for me. And he was like, oh, this is like really good. And I didn't have like too much to do, but the stuff that I could edit for you, I wanted to give you feedback on this because I think that it'll make you stronger, which I was very, very appreciative, because he just like laid out things. He was like, oh, here's a tip for this, and here's a tip for this. And it allowed me to go back and kind of revise the whole thing. So I did that, and I cut it down a little bit more. And then Sonora and V, they were really, really encouraging, and they were like, send over what you have and we'll read it. And if it's, if it seems like it's going to fit, if it's good, we'll put it on. And they were like, oh, we love it. So I was like happy crying about it a little bit, because that was the first time I had, sent it to anybody like who, people who were like published legitimate writers that I respected, whose books I've read and like reviewed and things like that. So yeah, it was a pretty wild time, but they put it on the website, and I share it a lot because I'm excited about it.
You should.
It's like, what? Sorry.
Oh no, I was going to say, so for listeners, I could be wrong here, but I feel like we didn't say the title of it yet. But so the title is Ready or Not.
Yes. Thank you. Sorry, I don't know how to do this whole thing. I'm not a writer. I'm sorry.
Oh, you are.
It's okay. No, it's okay. It should have been mentioned in the question. So.
I know. Fucking guy. Brennan, I got a lot to say about Ready or Not, but you jump in first.
I have one simple thing to say. I loved it. I felt like there was a part. It's so hard because I read it on my phone versus like a Kindle or a book, but I think it was about halfway through where the implications of everything that was going on just kind of slammed down on me all at once, and it felt like a very conscious decision on your part. And personally, it really worked for me. I thought it was absolutely spectacular.
Thank you. I'm not very good at accepting compliments. So thank you.
Oh, that's okay. You can just totally ignore me, and we'll move on to a question, so you don't have to. but no, I say that very genuinely. I read through it, and I immediately, picked up my phone and sent Pat a message. I said, "This is really fucking good."
He's like, this isn't just like she did good for her first publication. He's like, this is fucking good.
So somebody else said that too. They were like, is this really your first one? And I was like, I mean, I'm sure I have like other ones. Like when I was 8, I wrote a book called The Best Friend Feud Fight, literally feud fight in the same title. Like there's been some trash. So I don't want to make it seem like this is the very first time in my entire life that I've ever attempted to write something. But it is the first time I've ever finished just something like start to finish, because most of the things I've tried I cut them off. I'm like, I don't like this going, and I stop. So this is the first time that I've finished it. So it really means a lot, like a lot. Anytime anybody tells me they read it and that they liked it, even if they didn't like it, like just taking the time to read it, like thank you.
Are there any plans to publish your trunk novel?
Oh God, you know what happened too is, so remember when I said that I didn't get a lot of encouragement? I wrote that book, and I was 8, so I was fighting with my friend, and that's why I wrote it. And it was about like these 2 little girls who got into a fight, and one of them kills the other. And I know that sounds serious. Like I didn't want to kill my friend, but I liked spooky stuff, and I was trying to like test the waters, I guess, a little bit. And my friend was not happy because I let her read it. And I was really excited about it. And I was like, read this. I wrote this story. And it's not like they weren't named after us or anything. But, I mean, she saw the similarities and she was not happy with it. And she called me dumb because it had feud and fight and the same title. And I was like, that's fair. To be fair, those are like the same thing. I guess I can't say you're wrong there. So, yeah, no, that one's not going to get published. I think my fourth grade best friend might be a little upset.
So you bled on the page at a young age, and the person that you wrote about was upset about it.
Yeah, and I mean, in retrospect, there are like journal entries that would have probably been better for me to focus on at the time instead of trying to turn it into a story that I shared. But, channel your emotions.
That's why I got a few reasons why I started writing, but I started really focusing on writing myself because of that. I was dealing with a lot of shitty people in my life that I haven't spoken to in years, probably 8 years, and it's a positive outlet, so it's a good thing. I'm all for that. You're doing a good job. And I read your story today at work, and the part that Brennan mentioned, when I got to that, I texted him, Jesus fucking Christ.
I'm sorry. I don't know if that's good or not.
No, that's a good thing because I didn't see the implication until I read it. I thought, like any good story, the reader usually is like, is it this? And then like a few lines or paragraph after, you're like, oh, God, that was that oh, fuck moment. And then you kept going, and I liked it. Editing-wise, as far as I was concerned, I was like, I don't see any mistakes. It's pretty great, and I hope you keep writing. I'm glad that you were pushed to write because you're good at it, and you're working on a book right now. I don't remember what it was called. I tried looking it up, but you have a lot of tweets, so I couldn't find it. I couldn't
That's absolutely
find it.
Fair. I spend a lot of time on the internet, so I totally get that. So right now I'm working on a novella for fun. I thought it was going to be a short story, and then when I started writing it, so what I do is I write these really quick outlines first, and I don't know if this is normal because I've been trying to like pick the brains of all of the writer friends I have, and I'm like, what is your process? What do you do? And I'm so curious because I feel like I'm probably doing things wrong, but one of my friends actually recently told me, if it's working for you, then it's not wrong. And that was really, really helpful. So I've just kind of been doing my own thing. So I write like this quick little outline, like just a few paragraphs from start to finish of the story. And it's really short. And so I think the story is going to be really short. And then once I start writing it, I've gotten through like 2 sentences in the first paragraph of my outline, but I've written like 20 pages, and it's bananas. Like, I don't know how it keeps happening, but so my novella is that now, and it might be a book. I don't know. We'll see how long it gets. Obviously, I'm going to cut it down a little bit, but it's called Thank You for Coming. And I haven't like said a lot about what it's about, but without like spoiling anything, it's about a girl who is going through a tough time in her life, and she gets a call from her hometown that her grandmother died, and so she has to go back and deal with that. And like my story, it's going to have a kind of twist thing going on too. So yeah, I like doing that. It was intentional kind of with the story because those are the kind of books I like to read, like that kind of change things for you at the end, so it's completely different from what you expected. So that was what I was going for when I wrote it, because somebody was like, oh, you should write what you want to read. And I was like, all right, that's good advice. I'll do that. And so I've been kind of going with it.
Yeah, that's awesome, and I definitely would like to read that whenever it's ready. And as far as the podcast goes, what do you think we're doing this for? We want to get tips so we can become better writers too.
Totally fair. That's why I'm listening to it.
Never feel bad for asking for advice. It's when people ask for advice the wrong way where it's not okay. Like, I mean, I'm not telling anyone to do anything, but for me, I'll give stuff a shot at least once. Like, I messaged Tony Todd and tried to get him on, but like he didn't reply, and I was like, that makes sense. And one of the dudes that's on Devil's Rejects, I forget, Bill Mosley, I tried messaging him. No shot in hell that he replied. But my whole point is just like go for it. Like, I messaged a guy that one of the writers of Host, and I'm gonna be recording with him on Monday. So you never know who's going to say yes, and just be polite and don't bug them. People got lives, and I mean, Cassie, you're nice, so
I try.
keep up the good work because you got a good support system. I mean, I can see the public support system. Never mind whoever else you talk to, and me and Brennan got that too. We're lucky, and we bring this up all the time. The horror community, it's pretty much a great place. It's a lot of, and it's not just like people with dreams. There's people as big as Paul Tremblay or Josh Mallerman. They talk to everyone. They help everyone out. They pay it forward, which is great. And I see people that have potential that are newer or in like Laurel or Violet Castro's place or Sonora. Like I could see them being the next big thing. And they're just so nice. And I don't know. I'm rambling on, but I love it. I love what we got here, what we all cultivated.
No, I agree. I think all the people you mentioned, like they are very nice. They've been very helpful. Laurel and V and Sonora, like those people specifically are people that I've read and that I like, and that when I reach out and I ask them a question, I'm so grateful because they don't immediately either just ignore me or tell me to fuck off or something. Like, that would be, in my perspective, like they're really good at what they're doing and they're getting successful doing it because they're good at it. And for them to take the time to help somebody who is just starting out, like that's really, really cool, I think, because they didn't have to, like they didn't have to, have me on Fright Girl Summer for Sonora and V. Like they didn't have to feature me. They featured my art too. Like they don't have to do these things. And it's not just me. Like there are so many people that are trying to boost other people and that are just genuinely trying to support and help each other. And I think that's really important. I think it's really good because from the outside, from somebody who's not in it, like the idea of the horror community probably sounds a little bit, I don't know, intimidating or scary or maybe negative, but it's like one of the most positive online communities I've ever been a part of, or I've ever seen. It's bananas cool. I love it.
Yeah, it's fantastic. And I don't know, I just like talking with like those ladies I would just mention. Brennan and I actually talk about this often. They're not knocking guy writers. We love plenty of them, but there's just so many good female writers. And personally, just speaking for myself, I like the era we're in right now where horror is hot again, and it's going to go through a cycle, but we're always going to be here for it. But we're at a time where it's just like everyone's starting to kind of get an equal chance, or at least things are coming to light where everyone's starting to get an equal chance. It really doesn't. It's not like only white old guys are getting all the shots now, or maybe they are, and it's starting to. I don't know how to word this correctly, but
I think the change is coming. It's starting to happen, I think, and we're heading in a good direction.
Yeah, and I like seeing that because there's so many good people that might not have gotten a chance 20 or 30 years ago, and man, what a shame, because all I keep thinking about is V. Castro's Latinx version of Candyman. I'm like, can I have that now, please?
I know. I want that so bad.
She can write horror and erotica really, really well.
Yeah, I just got her Rewind or Die book in.
Yeah, I saw your post about that Hairspray and Switchblades.
Yeah, I haven't read it yet, but I just got it in the mail. I've been having some issues with my Kindle, so I can't download things because I can't connect to the internet. So I know that there are a bunch of them on Kindle Unlimited and stuff, but I haven't been able to get them. So I'm kind of getting them slowly one at a time, and I'm really excited to read that one because it's got a really cool cover too. Plus just more stuff by V, so I think that'll be really great.
Yeah, it's interesting. I wish it was longer, but I know that they keep those books short.
Yeah, they all have been they're pretty short. They're quick to get through, which I like. I've been loving short books lately. They're really good for my time frame. I don't have a lot of time to read, so being able to just sit down and read something in an hour, that's been really useful.
Definitely seems like you read a whole lot, but I mean, I read a whole lot slow, so.
I read pretty quickly.
Everyone reads fast.
No, don't say that. It's not. I feel like Rich says that too. He's like, I'm so slow, I'm not going to finish it. And I'm like, it's fine. As long as you're reading, that's great.
What does he like to read?
He reads mostly sci-fi stuff. So he actually, do you know what Warhammer 40K is?
Yeah, that's the, is it considered board game or like a role playing game. I'm not sure at the time.
I don't, it's like a tabletop game.
I know what it is.
Yeah. So they have like there's a whole lore like thing that goes with it. And like tons and tons of books. And so my way of showing love is buying people books. So like every holiday, usually I'm like, here's more books about the things you like. And recently, they've been putting out these really cool like horror ones about like the lore, but like with more horror leanings and like even a couple of like short story collections and stuff. So those are pretty cool. And they have, I don't know if there's a particular term, but like, how when a book has like the edges of the paint or the edges of the pages are painted?
When they're painted.
Yeah. Like, so the edge of the book just looks like red or like green or something, like just sprayed pages. I don't know. The books have that.
Oh yeah. Yep.
Yeah. And
if there's
really
a term
cool.
for it, I don't know it.
I don't know. Fancy
four
pages.
edge painting.
That sounds not as pretty as fancy painting.
Is a scene painted on the edges of the pages of a book, so that's definitely not it, but that sounds cool.
That does.
Oh my God, are you Googling again?
Of course I'm Googling. Do you think I know this shit on the top of my head?
He's got to be prepared. But yeah, so he's been reading a lot of those, which is cool. He has less books than I do, so my books they're all over like the bedroom and all over the house, and they don't fit into my shelves anymore because I haven't bought shelves in a while, so I just have piles and piles of books just everywhere, and he's like just with his little books like in the corner like trying to get through them, and I'm like, I'm so sorry.
And you just joined us at Deadhead Reviews, so you're gonna have a lot of opportunities to get a lot more books.
I know, I'm excited about it, and I'm really excited to be a part of the team. I don't know if I thanked you specifically, but thanks.
It was a collaborative thing. I mean, me, Elle, and Ellen were like, we want Cassie, but, we don't want to step on anyone's toes. But, I mean, if someone wants to join, go ahead,
Yeah. And everybody's been super nice. And I really like that you guys are very, you're inclusive, intentionally inclusive, which I think is very important. And yeah, it's nice. I like when I see the little things and you just being really positive and I see the tweets going, I'm like, yes, I'm going to retweet this. I love this. Yes.
Ellen is the leader with that. I give credit
Ellen.
where it's due. Yeah, it's pretty
I
funny.
give Ellen so much credit.
It's pretty funny how I meant to say this earlier. I don't know who followed who first, but when I took over Deadhead Reviews from Garrett last year, I was adding team members just who made sense. Like Brennan, I mean, I said that Shane made a comment about a guy that Shane Douglas Keene said that he sounded like Mr. Rogers. That was Brennan that made that comment. I feel like that might have been the first time I heard him. I'm like, I want to add him. But then I saw that he lives close to where I lived in Massachusetts. And I was like, oh, that's cool. I don't really know anyone from my hometown or the area. So in the horror community, turns out I do now with a few, which is weird because one of them grew up literally the town over. Scott Kemper of Staring to the Abyss.
Oh, he's really nice. He's been recommending some Shudder movies to me that I'm going to be watching soon.
Yeah, that's neat. He grew up the town over, and we both literally have the same mutual friend that we grew up with, but we never knew each other until the horror community. But with Ellen, I saw that she was also from Jersey. I'm like, that'd be cool because I live in Jersey now, so could add her, and she had some really neat reviews on cooking and baking. That's why I meant to bring that up earlier. And I just said, it looks like I like your reviews. Would you be interested in joining to write reviews for, horror? And turns out it worked out. And then she knew you, and me and you follow each other before I even knew you two were friends in quote unquote real life. And it's just weird how life works out.
I know. It's a really small world too. Like Ellen and I have been friends for like over a decade, and like I visited her and she's visited me when I still lived in Florida, and somehow we just really didn't talk about books ever. And I don't know why.
That blows my mind.
I know. And so when she joined like Bookstagram and she started getting involved in the book Twitter and stuff like that, and I was like, oh crap, like I can talk to her about all these books and stuff now. And to be fair, now most of our text conversations are just us sending Bitmojis back and forth, like really just crazy Bitmojis over and over. But still, like it's really nice having somebody, because a lot of my in real life quote unquote friends are not into books at all. So having that kind of connection with somebody is really cool.
I got maybe 2 or 3 friends that horror community that actually like books. One likes horror films, but he lives in Massachusetts, so can't really watch horror movies with him if that was even an option now.
Do the parties. There's a Hulu party, Netflix party, and Amazon party option now.
The other problem with that now is he's got 2 little girls and works at UPS, so he's got to get his ass up early or he's out late. So I got a family, so like we text, but it's like not too often because we got busy stuff going on. Brennan, you were going to interrupt earlier to throw an insult at me due to the speed of my reading abilities. Do you want to talk about that?
Actually, I'd like to talk about how our co-hosting ship has evolved to such a point that if I try to interrupt with a single syllable, you know the complete intention of why I'm interrupting. I'm actually impressed. I'm not even mad. Actually, no. Well, I was interrupting to insult you, but I did have a question about something we were talking about at the time. You know, we were talking about just how many great female horror writers there are right now. We mentioned Laurel, we mentioned V, Sonora, there's Gemma Amore, there's S.H. Cooper, and you could go on and on. And one thing that they all have in common is they are all on the table of contents of We Are Wolves. And Cassie, so are you. So I kind of want to hear how that came to be.
Oh, I'm so excited about that. I don't know how that came to be because they started talking about it one time and I saw it in their tweet when they, kind of posted a little bit of a teaser. And at that point, nobody had reached out to me or anything. So I didn't know that I would have any involvement. So I was just really excited because I was like, ooh, another book I'm going to add to my shelves. And this sounds like something that I can totally be about. And I'm like super into this because, they pitched it as being for women who have, suffered from domestic violence and sexual harassment and abuse and things like that, which, I'm not going to go into, but I have a history of dealing with, both in childhood and just as an adult. So having such a positive thing going on out of something so negative, I thought that was really, really cool. And then Laurel actually messaged me and asked if I wanted to be a part of it. And I'm pretty sure I dropped my phone. I lost my shit. Can I say shit? Is that okay?
Fuck no.
Yeah, no, I totally lost my shit. I was so excited about it. I couldn't handle it. It was a lot.
That's great.
Yeah, there are so many people that are going to be a part of it too. Like you said, there's so many people that I've been reading for years now that I can't. It's mind-boggling that I'm going to be in a book with them. It's crazy to me.
Yeah, Gemma Moore wasn't. She's the one that's putting it together, right? The cover's based off of her, and I know it's getting published through. Apologize if I messed up her name. Sina.
Yes,
right?
That's it. Sina Palayo. I'm not sure how to say her last name.
Yeah, Palayo. Yep.
Yes. Okay. So, and the drawing that Gemma's actually doing is based off of her. So it's her face, and she turned her into kind of a, I don't want to say monster, but it is a monster because that's what they called it. But it's so beautiful that, it's a beautiful monster.
It's based off of Gemma or Sina?
Sina. Gemma drew it based off of Sina's, a selfie of her.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, and it's super cool. And then Burial Day is actually Sina's publishing house. So she's, doing it. And then she's also going to be one of the writers in it. And then Gemma and Laurel are, I think the word is collating it because they're picking all the specific things together and putting it together very specifically.
It is. Let's talk about Laurel real quick because Brennan and I have pretty much, I think it's fair to say, we're neck and neck with sitting. This is a weird way to put it. We're neck and neck watching her career from the spectator's seat, meaning that he read Whispers in the Dark a little bit before I did, but I read it, I think, a few months after. Maybe I'm wrong on that, but then we just we became friends with her pretty much around the same time, and we're watching her on Ink Heist, and we both remember how she said that she is not someone that writes short fiction, and guess what? She kills it, and now she's going to blow up more than probably some people want to realize at this point because she's got the potential to. She's fucking good. She's someone that can be on Josh Malerman's level.
She is amazing. Yeah. to be honest with you, I'm already planning a volume 2 of my coloring book because there were a couple of authors who I didn't read until this year, and the list I had I made last year. So when I started working on my coloring book, it was last October. And there have been so many people that I've read this year that I hadn't, read before that I didn't think to put into the book. And Laurel's one of those people that I'm like, please, like, oh, I love your book so much. Like I read Whispers in the Dark earlier this year, and then I just finished Crossroads. I actually have a review going to my blog tomorrow. And both have just been so good, and they are very different in length. Like Whispers is obviously longer, and then the other one is much shorter. And I'm really, really excited to see how her contribution to the collection goes, because I think it's going to be amazing. I think the whole thing is going to be amazing.
Can you talk about that a little bit? Your coloring book, like, is it just like, how about I ask this? What is it about? How are the authors involved?
So it's called the Horror Authors Coloring and Activity Book, and it is going to be a book that's kind of broadening the horizons of people who read horror who maybe only know of like the bigger named folks that are in the industry. So obviously when you think about horror, if you think about horror fiction, you'd automatically go to like King and stuff like that. So I wanted to kind of highlight the community and the people who are maybe not as widely known, but who should be, because like you said, they have the potential to be just as popular and just as marketable and just as, read by a ton of people. And they could be household names if more people knew about them. So I thought it would be really cool to make coloring books so that people could buy it, even if they only know like 1 or 2 of the authors in it. There are going to be 20 authors featured. So 20 names. Each person is going to have a couple of books or stories or anything that they want to highlight. It's going to be on their coloring page. The coloring page is going to feature each of the authors. And you know how like my Toon Me style is like half of them is a toon and half of them is just their normal face?
Yeah.
It's going to be like that, except the whole thing's a cartoon and half of it's going to be a monster and half of it is their normal face.
When's the first one come out?
It should be coming out at the pre-orders will be available at the end of this month. I'm hoping to have it out at the beginning of next month. Okay. I've got to order the proofs in and get them and see how that goes and see how it looks, because I've never printed a book before and I'm using like a website online. So we're going to see how a coloring book works out. But it's going to have 20 author pages and then 10 activity pages. And the activity pages are going to be a mix of, I don't know if you're familiar with bullet journaling, but do you know what that is?
I'm not. What is that?
So it's like this specific form of journaling that people use, and it's super customizable. So you can you just get a notebook and you draw in it kind of. You make your own calendars, you make your own whatever you want. And sometimes people like to log their books and their reading stuff. So I'm going to have like a drawing of a big bookshelf, and it's going to have a bunch of empty spines. And then as the people who have the book read, they can fill it in and color in the books with the books that they've read for that year. It's also going to have an unscramble the novella. So different authors, they have different books that I'm going to put in there, and then you're going to have to unscramble the names. There's going to be a connect the dots kind of cover page to feature a couple of different cover artists. And then there's also going to be like Mad Libs, I think it's called, like a story I'm calling A Day at the Bookstore. And it's going to feature the authors, and it's going to be as if you're, visiting a bookstore for a signing and all these authors are there. So yeah, a lot of little activities. I'm also going to highlight some publishers. So indie publishers and cover artists, people that do a lot of work, but maybe aren't as known as the exact author's name, when you're reading a book. So I thought it'd be cool, kind of little community spotlight.
That's great. We need more of that. That's what I want to do too. That's what me and Brennan are trying to do with the podcast. That's what we try to do at Deadhead Reviews. If there's so many people that do that, who knows? Maybe there can be what all of us have intended is more names besides Stephen fucking King and Anne Rice in the goddamn bookstores. I'm a little annoyed at that. At this one, for example, this one bookstore, BAM, Books a Million. That's the closest big chain near me, and there's not even a horror section. It's just I forget. I think it's thriller, which that's incorrect. But I see one Richard Chizmar, which is the closest to the indie horror. The only reason he's there is because he co-wrote a book with Stephen King.
Yeah.
I don't see any females besides Anne Rice. I don't even see Shirley Jackson there. Perhaps you can order them online. I thought it was neat that I did see Laurel Hightower was on Target.com, but I couldn't find her in my Target.
Oh, that's really cool, though.
I was really hoping I could have, so I could send her a picture. But yeah, Brendan, we were just talking about how the coloring book is going to be the Tune Me of the authors, where half of it's the monster, half of it is the author.
Oh, that's brilliant. And, I could only help thinking, we've talked about the, friendliness, welcoming, inclusivity of this community. And it's like, what other fucking community do you have that would have like a project like this going on? And all of these authors that have these great works are like so giddy and excited to be part of this. I think it's so cool. Could you tell us some of the publishers that you're kind of highlighting? I'm curious.
Yes, I can. Hang on one second. Let me open because I have all these tabs pulled up in preparation.
Oh.
Okay, so I have a list of some of them right here. So Silver Shamrock Publishing, Unnerving, Rooster Republic, Candisha Press. I'm not sure if I'm saying that right, and if I'm not, I'm really sorry. Raw Dog Screaming Press, Clash Books, Broken River Books, Trepidatio Publishing. I don't know if I said that right either. Nightscape Press, Bloodshot Books, Subterranean Press, and that's all on this list, but that's not the complete list. That's just the list I have to share. There are more.
That's a solid list, though.
Yes.
That's fabulous.
Yeah, I'm very excited. Some of the cover artists that I'm going to be doing or showing will be Elder Lemon Design. How do you say his name?
For who?
Keelan.
Oh,
Is that right?
Keelan. Yeah,
Keelan Patrick Burke. Okay, I'm sorry. I'm really not good at names. So yeah, I'm going to be featuring him. And then Matthew Reverts. He does a lot of books. You guys have actually probably both seen a lot of his covers that go around. And then Daniel, Sarah. Yeah. So I'm gonna have a lot of people. From Rooster Republic. His thing is Don Noble Art, but I don't think that's his full name.
No.
Is that?
No, that's his name.
Is it? Because I think it's under a different thing. I don't know. Because when I sent the email, I don't know. But he's going to be in the book too.
His Twitter is like Frank, I think.
Yeah, but I always get confused because some people on Twitter, they're what is it called? They're like not hashtag name. Their
handle?
name. Yeah, their handle. Thank you for taking me back to like hackers. Their handle is different from their actual name. So I cannot tell you how many times I have to double check myself. And I'm like, oh God, like I don't want to call this person the wrong thing. I'm so sorry.
Yeah, it's Don Noble. I've actually worked with him with something too. He's a great guy.
He's awesome. Yeah. He's been super nice. Yeah. Yeah. Did you see Sarah Tantlinger's the upcoming Cradleland of Parasites?
Yeah, it looks pretty neat. That cover is wild.
It's so cool. I'm so excited.
Did you read it?
No, I haven't read it. I don't think is it out? Like it's not released, right?
No, I didn't know.
I think it's fall. Yeah.
I didn't know if you read an arc or anything.
No, I have not. I wish, but I have not. I'm going to be definitely getting it as soon as it's out. Like I have all her other books, and she's amazing. She's in my coloring book too.
Real quick, because she is a newer author, so I think it'd be pretty neat since we're talking about how awesome the community is. And maybe a whole lot of people don't know about her. I'm a little familiar with her. I've talked with her. Maybe it was like a hi, how's it going? But Bree, forgive me if I got this wrong. Bree Morgan?
Yeah.
Bree, is it Brianna?
Look, I'm going to be honest. I'm not sure. I'm sorry. I love her.
Let's just say Bree Morgan. She's got a new book that came out, a few weeks ago, I think.
Yeah, just recently unboxed.
Yeah, I've seen it. I've seen the cover all over. She seems like a real sweet person. Have you guys talked for a while? Like, do you want to tell us a little bit about that book?
Yeah. So I met her through Bookstagram, actually, I think it was. And it was just, she was posting a lot of her, like this isn't her first book that she's written, but this is, I think, her first real solid, intro into horror. And it's written as a play, which I think is really unique because there aren't a lot of other things that are getting released that are written that way. But she's actually a playwright, so she's written things as plays in the past, so she's totally familiar with it. And it's, I really love technology done in like a dark, twisty, horror-y way. So I don't know if you guys read Ghoster by Jason Arnott, but that came out like last year, I think. And that was one that kind of dealt with phones and creepiness and not knowing what was going on. So when I figured out that that was like its own little niche genre, I was very excited. So I've been trying to like gobble up everything else that I can. And hers is actually about this guy who runs this paranormal like vlog online, and he has a ton of followers, and things start going bad for him after an argument with his girlfriend gets publicly posted. And none of that's a spoiler because it's all in the book, and on the, Goodreads summary and everything. Mm-hmm. But so things start happening, and it like I said, it's written as a play, which is really cool because when she writes it, she frames the scene, so you can kind of like get such a good idea of how it would look as if you were staring at it from the audience, which is a really cool perspective in books because it's not, they're so different from movies that's not how they're written. So reading it like that for me was like such a cool experience because I was like, this is like watching a movie. This is like reading a little short story. Like I really love this. Yeah, it's really good. I liked it. I would highly recommend it.
So, Cassie, I have a question that kind of piggybacks off that and deals with your overwhelming pile of books taking up your place. So, I'm wondering if you could, and I'm gonna leave this open for you so it doesn't, back you into a corner. But what are some of the best things, whether they be novels, novellas, or collections that you've read this year so far?
Like specific titles? Or
yeah. What are some of your, like, if the year ended now, which let's be honest, it could end tomorrow. Who knows?
I hope not.
I don't know at this point.
I couldn't put it past 2020 to be honest.
But if you had to put together a year-end list right now, what are some of the titles that you would recommend to people?
Okay, let me think. So pulling from the stuff I've read most recently, I read a couple of the Rewind or Die books, which are really good. Cirque Berserk, Hell's Bells, the Haley Piper one, which it has a longer name. Benny Rose, the Cannibal King, that one. Those three have been like really good standouts for me. I really, really loved those, and they're all shorter, so they've been really great. Haley actually has another one that's called An Invitation to Darkness, and that was another short one that I really liked. Seeing Things by Sonora, that was really, really good. I really like that one because it's told from a younger perspective, which I don't think we see a lot in horror, especially in horror that can be read and enjoyed by adults. Sometimes if the person in the book is like 12 or 13, then it's a little bit juvenile, and hers wasn't at all. Like I really loved it. Aside from that, I read Matt Serafini's Rites of Extinction. That one is really good. Another novella. I'm going hard with the novellas, okay, because I really like them.
They're pretty. They're an attractive option
because they're so short and you can just fit them in like so easily. Mm-hmm. Not a novella, but The Luminous Dead by Caitlin Starling. I read that one at the beginning of the year. Did you guys read that?
No, I heard about it on Inkheist.
Yeah, a lot of people have been talking about it, and it had a really cool cover. It has a really cool cover, and when I saw it for the first time, I actually thought that it was like a submarine or something on the cover. Like I didn't realize what I was looking at, and then when I got the book in person, I was like, oh, like this is a hand there. So that was really funny, and I really like it. Michelle Renee Lane, she's one of the people that's going to be in my coloring book. I read Invisible Chains by her earlier this year, like I think January or February. And I thought that was really important because it's told from the perspective of a girl who, she lives on this place and she's a slave to these people that hurt her and are really, really awful. But it's also done with like this supernatural kind of twist. So there are like vampires and stuff in the book as well. And I really liked it. And I thought it was a really good book because it was really painful to read. And like I said, I like stuff that is kind of sad. And it doesn't shy away from the painful parts, but it also doesn't make it so that it's like, I don't know, it's not like excessive or anything like that. Like it was just really well written and I loved it. And then two books that are coming out later in the year that I really loved were Clown in a Cornfield, and that one's by Adam Caesar, and then The Loop by Jeremy Robert Johnson. I think those have August and so later this month and then next month releases.
I haven't heard of The Loop. The Loop. Have you heard?
The Loop is good.
Brennan, have you heard of that?
I have heard of it. I have not read it. But I have his collection, Jeremy Robert Johnson's Entropy and Bloom, and I read it a long time ago. It's interesting. He's one of those authors that I stumbled across completely randomly a few years ago, and then was, once I found my way into this whole indie horror scene, I was like, this guy's here too. But no, I hear good things about that it's very unique. Would you agree with that, Cassie?
Yeah, it is. It is. It's actually it's marketed as Stranger Things meets World War Z, but I thought it was. I can see why they compared it to those things, but it stands completely apart. It's its own thing. Definitely, it's very, very unique, and I think it deals with some stuff that could be kind of topical now in regards to our pandemic and people just being not so great with it. So I think it's really cool, and I think people will like it when they read it.
How about you, Brennan? What books would you recommend? It's a little bit different than what are you reading now?
Okay. Now, before I launch into my hypothetical list, which I'm real pissed at you at the moment because I despite the fact that I wanted to ask Cassie that, I absolutely did not think about preparing a list myself. So, but I do want to actually, you know what? I'm gonna just totally piggyback on all the Rewind or Die titles that you mentioned. Cirque Berserk is fantastic. Benny Rose, Cannibal King. I love that one. And I can't believe when we were talking about We Are Wolves that I forgot to mention Haley Piper, who is just absolutely one of my far and away favorite authors, period.
She's amazing.
She just messaged me and she said, I don't want to talk to Brennan if I come on the show. So
she would
that
never.
Is a lie.
She is the sweetest human.
No, yeah, I feel like an asshole for saying that. I have had zero bad experiences with her. She's very nice. She's a very nice person. So ignore the mean man on the microphone.
So ignoring the mean man on the microphone. Yeah, no, I got to interview Haley for our for Deadhead's Women in Horror Month in February, and she's the nicest human being that ever got put on the earth. So yeah, definitely Rewind or Die. I can't leave Crossroads off the list. I love that thing to death. Gotta put Devil's Creek on there. Definitely Devil's Creek.
I haven't read that one yet. I don't have it. I'm gonna get it soon. I'm gonna catch up to everybody. Don't worry.
We won't hold it against you. There's shipping issues, so I mean,
totally understandable.
And I guess if I'm gonna throw one more on there, I really liked The Raven by Jonathan Janz.
I didn't read that one, but he did a reading of that. There was something going on that I watched a reading of him
CoronaCon.
Yeah, I watched his reading for that, and he did really well. I love his readings. He's such a great guy. He's going to be in the book too.
He's a super swell guy.
All right, Patrick, your turn.
Yeah, now we're putting you on the spot.
You've been sitting and thinking about it when you weren't making rude comments. So.
He was Googling it. He was preparing.
All right, so you guys already listed all the books that for this year. I've read other books that didn't come out this year, but we're sticking on 2020 releases, right?
I think a couple of mine weren't, but most of them were.
So if we're sticking to 2020 releases, the first one that I read this year was True Crime by Samantha Koyesnik. That was killer. That was fantastic.
So good.
Well, I want to read her second book whenever that comes out. She's a little busy right now running a press, so.
That's amazing, though. I'm so excited to see what they put out.
Which leads me to Crossroads. That's just such a killer book. I cannot wait. And hey, Cassie, if you haven't gotten that book yet and you want it, you can enter. By the time this episode comes out, this is going to be too late for anyone else listening to this, but you can enter the contest by following the rules, which are real simple. It's just follow us, Laurel, and Off Limit Press, and you can enter to get a paperback from one of two winners we'll have on the release date, which would be the 10th.
Look at you guys spreading good reading to the world.
You, sir, are shameless.
I mean, I have the book, but I was going to let you do the whole spiel. I'm okay with it.
Oh, Patrick, I can't believe I left True Crime off my list.
I was kicking myself for that, too, because I was like, I really should have said that one, too. Yeah.
That's a weird one because I read it in December, but it came out in January. So it's like I give myself the, it's okay. You just forgot.
I read it in January. Or no. I don't know when I read it. Shit.
I think it was my third book of the year.
You read it in April because you were reading it when we recorded, or March, because you were reading it when we recorded that Ketchum episode.
Right. And the other two I'd put on there is Devil's Creek by Todd Kiesling, and which I would seriously be baffled if at no point someone, whoever that is, would be like, hey, here's lots of money, let me make a movie off of this. Or, hey, I work for a big publishing company, here's money, come write books for us, because that's just such a good book. It's our Salem's Lot, I think, is the nicest compliment anyone could give it. And the other book would be Jessica Guess's Cirque Berserk. That was just so much fun. If you're a slasher fan, you'll love it. If you're a horror fan, you'll love it. If you're a romantic fan and you like horror, you'll love it.
I wish they'd make a movie out of that one. I really loved it.
That would be so much fun.
Yes.
I told Jessica that they should make a Whitney Houston Halloween outfit.
Yeah. Oh, of her. Yeah, they should do of her main character with the skates and the
bat. Yeah, the bat's Whitney.
She's awesome.
So those are mine.
I'm going to interrupt you real quick because I didn't think to actually turn around and look at the fucking books I have, surrounding me. But I absolutely have to add Lullabies for Suffering, the anthology that Mark Matthews edited, and We Need to Do Something by Max Booth.
I just got Lullabies for Suffering in the mail. They just sent that to me. I'm excited to read it.
I loved it. There's a lot of really good stories in there. Mercedes Yardley, who we talked to recently, has hers is the last one, and it's a heartbreaker. It's a really good one.
She's one of those fun authors. She's such a sweet person, and then the stuff she writes is like, well, it doesn't add up, but I love it. I love this combination. And like you, Cassie, I'm all for wholesome endings, but like if I'm reading horror, I typically am expecting it to go pretty terrible for pretty much all involved, and I like that.
It's fun. There are high stakes when everybody could have something terrible happen to them.
When I self-published one book in 2014. It's not on. I took it off. I removed it. It's shit. It's one of my trunk stories. But I bring it up for a reason because when I got a freelance editor, I asked questions because I'm not just gonna say you're an editor. Here's money. I just had a few questions and a page or two for editors. I have no idea who they are beyond like them claiming to be an editor to give me a sample edit. And one editor, this guy that seems like a little bit of a nut job, replied with, when I said, do you like horror? Because if you don't, why would we work together? Because it's a horror book. He said that he asked me if I like to see people in pain and suffering. And at that point, I exited the conversation because I thought he was a judgmental prick. And I just... when we're talking, you and me and Brandon, whoever, are talking about how like we enjoy that stuff, it's good because it's good to talk about your feelings. It's good to express things and not hold it in. And it's okay if that makes you feel good or whatever.
Hey, can I throw one more out there that nobody mentioned and I can't believe it?
What is it?
Nobody mentioned The Rue by Alan Baxter.
Oh my God.
That was such a good one.
Right. All three of us really have to put that on the list. So.
We do. Yeah, we do. Totally agreed. Sorry, Alan. Alan's going to be in the book too.
We're all in his book. That's pretty fucked up, guys.
Amazing. Follow-up question for you guys. Now, I mentioned on an episode we recorded recently that if I have somebody who is basically me a year ago, coming in and discovering, holy shit, there are books that fit in the horror genre that Stephen King didn't write. And they're looking for recommendations. Like, I have 3 go-tos that I usually throw at people, and that's Paul Tremblay's A Head Full of Ghosts, Bird Box by Josh Mallerman, or Whispers in the Dark by Laurel. What would you guys throw at somebody who's kind of new to this scene and, just something that kind of doesn't necessarily fit a particular niche, but, is a little bit all-encompassing and you think would reel them in?
Cassie, you want me to go or do you want to go?
You can go first. I'll save the best for last.
So, right off the bat,
you got to leave them time to Google.
Right off the bat, I'm saying Sean Hamill's A Cosmology for Monsters. It's just excellent. You don't have to love horror to enjoy it. It's a love letter it's in my words, not the author's words. It's a love letter to Lovecraft's mythos and weird tales, pretty much everything it encompasses. And it does it well. The second one would be Whispers in the Dark by Laurel Hightower, because for me, that could be seen as a commercial book, meaning my mom could read it and enjoy it. I could enjoy it. There are so many reasons why you can enjoy it, but it's a horror book. What would the third one be? See, this is tough because you're saying what can rope in like a large group of people.
Well, and before we toss it to Cassie, I'll tell you, it doesn't have to be 3. If you've got 2 that you would throw out there, then you got 2. Although I will say I love your rationale behind Whispers in the Dark, that it's it could be commercial, that it could go into that Barnes & Noble, and it could succeed there.
Or it could be on Target.com.
Or Target, the store.
You know what? I'm going to reach on this one because I don't know how many people it would sell to outside of those who like horror, but Andy Cole's Remains, because it's just short. It'll just kick you in the chops. And I'm going to add one more. Lex H. Jones is The Old One in the Sea, because that's a book that I bought the hardcover of where, yes, it's about Lovecraft and him and Cthulhu, but it's fun and it makes you actually like Cthulhu. It's a sweet creature, and it's like a weird Iron Giant type of deal where it's like a creature that there's other people attacking him and you're just like, he's not the monster. You are all bad. And it's a story I'm going to read my son when he's old enough and I can enjoy it for myself. So those are my 4.
That's a really good one, The Old One in the Sea. That's a perfect choice. I don't know. I love Andy Cole's book, but I don't know if it's that recommend first thing. You got to lull people into a false sense of security before you kick them in the pants.
Yeah, you're gonna break their hearts. I was gonna say
they're gonna run screaming.
You know what? Fine. Let's go with Jack Ketchum's A Girl Next Door.
Oh my god.
Cassie, did you read that before we jump into your answers?
No, yeah,
okay.
It's brutal. There's a movie that's like based off of that story as well.
I'm scared to watch it.
I watched that movie when I was like 17 or 16, and I didn't know that there was a book or anything that went with it, and I didn't realize it was based off a true story. And I watched this movie. It has, I think it's Ellen Page in it, and it's so brutal. And then I found out there was a book, and I found out it was real, and I was like, oh my gosh! And I read the book, and it was, it made me sick and it made me cry. But I liked it. It's a good book. I don't want to say I liked it, but you know what I mean. It's well written.
That's so funny because when we were talking with Scott Kemper, I was like, me and Brian loved it. And he's like, I don't know if you want to say that. I'm like, well, I mean, I didn't love the content. It's
like true crime where you're just like, it's a really well written book and I really enjoyed my reading experience because it was so brutal, but it's not good like subject matter.
Yeah, and you know what? Thinking of this, I don't know if Rich, like your boyfriend, likes does he like true crime?
He likes like podcasts and stuff like that. I don't know if he really reads it.
Okay, let me just say exactly what I'm talking about then. It's Mindhunter. It's based off of a novel that was based off of the 2 FBI agents that started documenting and interviewing around America real serial killers and people of that nature. Is
it a show too?
It's a show on Netflix. They have 2 seasons. It's the main, let's call him the main bad guy. It's weird. It's weird to call him that, but it isn't. It's a serial killer that was known as the, I forget what he was known as. His name's Edmund Kemper.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't know that was a book. I didn't know the Mindhunter thing was a book. I thought that was, I know of the show. I had no idea.
Yeah. So it's based off of a book, and, but the guy that, God, I forget what the agent's real name is, but he is one of the co-writers. I haven't read it yet. That's one that I want to read. And we never talk about like what we want to read, I don't think. But I also heard of or keep seeing this one book called Blacktop Wasteland, and
Yes.
by S.A. Cosby, and I want to read that so bad.
Yeah, I have that one it's actually in my cart on Amazon because I don't know, I'm not going to plug it, but I have this little app that when you scan receipts, when you go grocery shopping, it gives you points and you can turn them into Amazon gift cards. So I've been using them on books because, you got to have books, and sometimes you are also in a pandemic, so you don't got to have a lot of money. So it works out. But yeah, that's going to be actually the next one that I'm getting. I'm really excited because I've heard amazing things about it.
Oh, I'm jealous. So yeah, what would be the books that you would recommend?
Oh, yeah. I forgot. So my books, to new people new to horror, I would do Rolling in the Deep by Mira Grant, who is the the pseudonym of, I don't know how to say her name, like Shannon McGuire. I'm not sure if I'm saying that right. And if I'm not, I'm sorry, but I hope people know who I'm talking about. She writes under the horror name Mira Grant. And Rolling in the Deep is about mermaids, like killer mermaids in the Mariana Trench. So that one's like one of my favorite novellas, and it's short, but it's really, really good. And I guess it did really well. So there's actually a full length novel that comes after it. But I always tell people, I'm like, read that novella because it's got sciencey stuff in it. It's got like cryptids. It's got blood and, gross gore and stuff. So it's kind of checks all the boxes. And then I would also recommend Coyote Songs because Gabino Iglesias, it's not strictly horror, but it's horrific. And there are some of the stories in there because it's technically called, I guess, like a mosaic novel. So it's a bunch of different stories that kind of tie together, and they're taking place in like around the same area, and they deal with the same sort of things. But they're all completely different. And there are some that they're like real life stuff, that you would see on the news. But then there are others that are like just definitively dark and horror. And it's really, really, really good. Have you guys read that collection?
I haven't yet. Brennan has, and
I have it. I haven't gotten to it yet, but
I misspoke.
So this can be the book because you guys, while we've been talking, I've written down several books that I'm going to push up on my TBR. So this can be the one that I'm telling you guys to push up on your TBR. You need to read Coyote Songs because it's really good. And then the other one is Fantastic Land by Mike Bakovin. And that one's about a hurricane in Florida that kind of devastates this theme park. And they leave some of the people who work in the theme park behind to kind of take care of it. And there's this like flooding that happens. So they're completely separated from the rest of the world. And it's got this really, really intense Lord of the Flies feel, which is one of my favorite books from when I was younger. So I really like that. How evil can people get if they're left to their own devices type of thing. So that one's really, really good. And it's also it's definitely solidly horror because it's got some real gross, like harsh stuff that goes on in it. But it's also good in that it doesn't completely, it's not like really extreme violent gore stuff that might turn people off if they're new to the genre.
Interesting.
That one I have read. And yeah, it's got the world's coolest premise. And I did enjoy it. That sounds like I'm saying it's got a good premise, but it doesn't deliver. But and that was another one I read a few years ago, and I don't think I've read anything else by that author. Have you?
No, I don't think he's written anything else. I think he's working on something because I follow him on Instagram and Twitter. But I don't think he'd released anything. And I think he was also possibly maybe in talks at one point about getting that turned maybe into like a movie or something. But I'm not sure where that's going. I would totally watch it though. Cause I mean, it's told like, as you know, it's told in like an interview sort of format. Like, what was it? World War Z. I think that's kind of like that as well.
Yep.
Yeah. But I think it would totally work as a movie.
Now, I got a confession. I have not read ever, even in school, Lord of the Flies. Would you guys recommend that?
I would recommend it because I love it. I mean, there are a lot of books, so you guys recommended Bird Box. I haven't read Bird Box, and I'm like one of the few people I feel like in the community that we're in that has not read it.
I haven't read it yet. We're talking to Josh in a couple weeks, and it's on my bookshelf. I'm going to start it probably this weekend.
I saw the movie. I really like Sandra, and so I watched the movie, and I really loved it. I thought it was cool. And I'm not opposed to reading it at all. It's just, I think, I don't know if you guys can relate to this, but when you're a book reviewer, you tend to have a lot of books that you're behind on that need to get reviewed. And so your fun reading kind of, for me at least, falls to the wayside a lot. So
Yes,
yeah,
absolutely.
my books just stack up. It sucks. Like, I'm so grateful for reviewing and for to do that. Like, I love doing it and promoting stuff. But at the same time, I kind of missed what is happening with your background.
Look at my books. Those are all for review. That's like 40 books right there.
So you understand my pain, see? Yeah, and it's a great problem to have. It's not like I'm complaining in any way. Because a lot of the time when I do read these review books, they end up being fun reading. Like, they end up being books that I love anyway. And so it's kind of like, it's fun, but I do miss some stuff, especially by popular people like Stephen King. I haven't read any of his recent releases except for Elevation, which I did not like. So.
Yeah.
My
book. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
I was going to say my book that fits firmly into that category is I've had Grady Hendrix's The Vampire Clubs. Yeah, I can't think of the title, but you know the one.
Yeah, no, I do.
The book club vampire thing. Yeah, I really want to get to that, but I just, every time I pick it up, I'm like, oh, but I'm already in the middle of 7 books. And
yeah, I totally get that. That would have actually been one for mine, but I was in a book party for that book. So I got sent like promotional stuff, by the publisher. And so I had a deadline to read that one. So I got that.
And that's
one
what
in.
you need.
Yes, it really
that's
helped.
How you do it.
Yeah.
Like right now, so fuck it, I'll just say it on here because I think we already announced it, but like Brendan and I had an idea. We toyed around with what we can do for the podcast because we want to be, attractive for a few reasons, and one of them was like maybe we can be a little bit different with having a mini series within the podcast, which would be horror classics. And we were like talking, well, how many can we do? Probably one every other month, which would be 6 a year. So we're thinking we could do 3 or 4 this year. Or 3 this year, whatever it was. And we're with Ken McKinley reading Ghoul to record that episode. Ken's probably finished now. Brian's been done for a while, and I'm only 70 pages in because like I was reading like 4 books at once, and then we got to read a few more for upcoming guests, and I'm like, I guess Ghoul's gonna have to wait, even though I really love it.
Yeah, it happens.
So I feel your pain.
The struggle.
Absolutely. And I mean, one of the ones we were talking about doing is Brian Lumley's Necroscope. And it's like, imagine having, potential podcast guests that we want to read their books, plus, publishers sent you theirs for review, and you've got this 700-page vampire novel. Like, you're actually going to get through that?
Maybe in like a couple of years I will. I only have really one more question, Cassie, is for your goals for your fiction, goals for your review platform, and really goals for your art, which encompasses so much, so I'll be vague about it. What do you see what are your goals for all that in the near future?
So really I'm just trying to focus on right now getting things completed. So I don't know if everybody's as slow as me, but it takes me like a really long time to get stuff written. And the time seems to go by so quickly. Like the other day I was writing like a short story and 7 hours went by in like the blink of an eye. And I genuinely was so confused because I was like, suddenly it's 2 a.m. Oh my God, like what happened? So I really want to try to focus on maybe figuring out the best way to kind of focus and to keep things straight for me, because like you guys have mentioned, have noticed, I am a little bit scattered. Like I'm doing a lot of different things at once. And I love it. I love all the different things I do, but sometimes it's very difficult for me to manage them all. So I think in the future, I'd really like to kind of narrow down what I want, which right now I think having something in regards to writing published so that I can like physically hold something that has my name on it with like a story or something in it, it would be amazing. Like that's my goal for writing. Like I'm not interested in like becoming famous or making money or anything like that. Like I really just want to hold something in my life just for once and be like, this book, my name is in this, like this is an actual thing that people can read, because I think that's amazing. Like I've never had that, so I can't fathom that yet. So I'm really excited about that. For my reviewing, I'm excited to write stuff for the Deadhead Review site, obviously. I'm going to have, there's going to be a little, we're doing like the monster stuff right now for the birthday, which congratulations for you guys on the birthday. That's really exciting.
Yeah, it's already been in August 14th that's when Garrett posted like 4 or 5 reviews for the first time.
I mean, it's a birthday. It's really exciting. And
yeah.
I'm excited. I'm going to be sharing an article with some recommendations that are related to Frankenstein soon.
Sweet.
Yeah, it's a little listicle because I love listicles. And for my own blog, I just plan to keep promoting, like indie horror and stuff. I do feel more comfortable now branching out a little bit. So I'm going to be reading a little bit more, like sci-fi. I like reading nonfiction a lot too. So I guess I'll probably branch out with that. Maybe, not even specifically in relation to true crime, but I just, from different like actors or people, like prominent people, I think it's really interesting to read different sides of things. So I hope to do that and maybe share some of that on my blog, although I don't know how it's going to go because I don't know how much people are going to want to read about that. But we'll see. And then for art stuff, I have my resin art that I've been working on for the last couple of weeks.
The coffins.
Yes, the coffins are coming up. So those are actually going to be available in my Etsy. I'm going to do them a limited release like I did the coaster. So there's only going to be a set number of them available. And then once they're gone, I don't know, maybe we'll see how it does. Like if nobody buys them, then I probably won't have the need to do it again. But if they all sell out in 20 minutes like the coasters did, then I'll definitely have another release. But yeah, I'm just focusing on making those things right now and kind of trying to build up a stock so that I have stuff to do next month. And then my birthday is next month. So it's kind of just a big celebratory rainbow explosion everywhere is probably what you're going to see on the internet. I mean, more so than you already do.
Yeah, and for those that have not seen Cassie's pictures, there'll be plenty of links on the episode notes, but you got to check them out. She's color coordinated. It looks like everything. It matches her hair and her personality, so it's pretty awesome. And you got shoes that match. It's like your life has a theme.
Yeah. It's easy to have a theme when everything is rainbow.
Okay, so yeah. You colored your shoes, the Vans?
Yes, they were the black and white checkered Vans, and I used Sharpies. There's a blog tutorial on my blog in case you're ever wanting to craft up your own shoes.
That's great.
I couldn't help but think of that earlier, Pat. Like way, way earlier, you had asked something like, "Oh, do you ever, see a cover and it appeals to you so much that you buy it based on the cover?" And my thought was, do you ever see a cover that and you're thinking, my shelves, need a little blue to even everything out?
No, yes, totally. So I don't know, you guys probably don't know this, but purple spines and green spines are two of the least occurring colors in book publishing and stuff. So there are very, very rarely green or purple spines for books. So those sections of my bookshelves are always very, very underdeveloped in comparison to red and black.
I didn't know that. That's interesting.
The more you know.
Brennan, is there anything else that you want to cover? Or Cassie, is there anything else that you want to make us aware of?
I would recommend While Mortals Sleep by Kurt Vonnegut for your purple spines, and also Jailbird, because I'm sitting next to a bookshelf with a lot of Kurt Vonnegut on it.
I'm
for green
right now. Yeah, I'm not kidding. I have my pen.
Oh, I'm sorry. No, Jailbird is also purple. Galapagos is green, though. So is Cat's Cradle. That's a really good one.
I have Cat's Cradle. Yes.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
The only two purple ones that I'm aware of on the top of my head is Brian Keene's Ghoul and Slaves to Gravity by Summer Cannon. And
is that one a purple spine? I have that one. I didn't look at the spine though, to be fair.
Yeah, it's a short book, so it's not a big spine.
Oh, that might be why.
And if it's purple, it's kind of very dark purple.
Yeah,
it's a dark purple.
I will tell you, I'm looking at While Mortals Sleep right now, and it is bright in your face purple.
Good. That's what I need. Yep. I need more purple.
Yep. Now, I meant to ask, is Cena's press going to publish physical copies? Because I definitely want to buy one.
Of We Are Wolves?
Yeah.
Yeah. So they're going to be physical copies, and I believe all the money that's made from purchases of them is going to go to the charity. I'm not sure which one or if they've announced that yet, but it's to support women who have been through some difficult things. So I think it's a really good cause. I would definitely recommend everybody getting it, and that's not just because I'm going to be in it.
Do you know when that's coming out? Is there a date yet?
I don't think there's an actual official date. I think it's just slated for fall.
Okay, cool. Where can people follow you?
You can follow me on Twitter. My URL thingy, my name, what is it? Handle?
Your handle.
Yeah, it's Control Alt Cassie, CTRLALTCASSIE. And then my blog is letsgetgalactic.com, and Etsy is Let's Get Galactic Art. So there's just like a very slight difference there, but if you leave it out, it'll go to something else that doesn't exist.
And you can see, like I said, the links are going to be in the episode notes. Hey, Cassie, real quick, have you heard of BuzzBook Expo?
Tell me about it.
Brennan, do you mind telling us about it?
I would absolutely love to tell you about it. I would like to tell you so much that readers, book reviewers, podcasters, librarians, booksellers, and lovers of great scary books, I would love to tell you all that it's just around the corner. BuzzBook Expo. By the way, you got to give me a little more lead up next time. I totally did not have the window open.
Sorry about that.
I would like to tell you that BuzzBook Expo is a live streaming event in which publishers will be announcing all the great new horror fiction releases they have to offer through the coming year. There's going to be interviews, Q&As, presentations, book cover reveals, and more from all of your favorite horror publishers, and it's all for free. $0, 0 pesos, 0 yen. Spend 2 days immersed in exciting book talk from publishers and authors alike. The event's going to take place from August 22nd to 23rd, and all information, including links to the expo, can be found at marysangi, that's SANGI, wordpress.com/buzz-book-expo-2020, and we cannot wait to see you there.
Fantastic, sir. Cassie, this was your first podcast. I think you did a fantastic job.
Oh, thank you guys for having me here and dealing with my neurotic anxiety.
That's all right. We're neurotic ourselves, and you got one story published. You're going to have a second one out soon with a fantastic table of contents. That's just the beginning for you. Your name's going to be out there, just like Laurel, just like Sonora, V, S.H. Cooper, and we're excited that we got to have you on before anyone else does, before anyone else is smart enough to have you on. Thank you for your time, Cassie. We really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you, Brennan. Thank you, listeners. Tune in for next episode. Who will it be? You'll find out.
We are in your mind. We are all around. You are now leaving Dead Headspace.
Brennan just fucking texted me. He distracted me.
We have this back and forth where, like, if I ask a question and I'll just shoot him a quick text that says, you. So then, if usually, 9 times out of 10 he gets that and, he picks up so we don't have too much dead air. And then that 10th time he's, Googling Christopher Pike and it doesn't work out.